Airbnb, the room-sharing company taking a bite out of the hospitality industry, is taking steps to promote diversity after facing accusations from renters alleging they were discriminated against due to race or other characteristics. Joining us now from San Francisco to discuss is WSJ's Greg Bensinger. Hi, Greg. Thanks for being with us.
Hi.
So, Greg, what types of discrimination complaints exactly has Airbnb received?
Well, the primary one is that people feel that they have been denied lodging based on their race.
And
go ahead.
I'm sorry, these complaints were outlined in December in a Harvard University research paper, weren't they? Or they were more carefully examined?
Sure. Yeah. Harvard put up. They put people on the service with sort of ethnic sounding names that they thought would ring to potential hosts as black, and in the test they found that people with those names were 16% less likely to be approved for an Airbnb than people who had names that were harder to identify as being associated with a particular ethnicity.
And then that paper went on to create quite a splash. It even spawned a Twitter hashtag campaign called #AirbnbWhileBlack, correct?
Right. Yeah. The feeling was that it was just going to be harder to rent through Airbnb if you were black, and there was some evidence that was going on.
And then how did Chief Executive Brian Chesky respond to all of this at that time?
Yeah. Well, a few months afterwards, he held a sort of forum at Airbnb offices where he pledged to sort of eradicate as best as they could any discrimination on the platform. It was sort of a bold statement, and they've taken a bunch of action since then to try to limit the amount that this goes on.
Can you tell us about some of the steps they're now taking?
Absolutely. Well, they're spending a ton of money on advisors. Among them is the former Attorney General Eric Holder, who they've retained to help them. They also brought in a former ACLU director, Laura Wright, who wrote a paper that Airbnb has released today that details a whole bunch of the steps they're taking. And those include minimizing user photos, which are presumably used to identify ethnic characteristics, as well as sort of internal goals in terms of hiring, as well as anti-bias training. They also want to have a sort of open line to customers where they can call in and say, I've been discriminated against, and here are the reasons why, and here's how I know. And they promise that they will find you lodging if that happens to you. So these are all public ways that they think that can help sort of stop this big problem for them.
Absolutely. Now, all of this sounds great, Greg, but Airbnb does have hosts in more than 30,000 cities worldwide. Are they addressing how they plan on enforcing these new rules?
Sure. Well, the easiest thing they can do is kick these people off the platform. If they determine that you are acting in a way that's discriminatory, they'll just boot you off the system, and you can't be a host anymore. You can't be a customer anymore. So that's the sort of ultimate penalty, and they'll use that as they see fit.
Out you go. All right, now we know that Airbnb is valued at roughly $25.5 billion. It's no secret also that Silicon Valley is struggling to spread diversity, both in hiring and in building relationships with minorities. How do you think a move like this on the part of Airbnb might impact other Silicon Valley companies dealing with similar issues?
Sure. Well, this diversity issues have been a big question in Silicon Valley. Most of these companies out here release diversity reports. That's their hiring and staffing, and generally they promise great things every year. We're gonna increase minorities in all these categories, and we've seen that over the years it really hasn't panned out the way they want. So if Airbnb is taking a stand and saying we're going to hire a more diverse white collar staff and try to stamp out diversity, I think could potentially stand as a bellwether for the rest of the industry. Yeah.
All right. Let's hope so. Thank you so much, Greg Bensinger, for that.
Thank you.